Turn it up loud.
Get together a little later. Coach is coming right now. Sit down.
You're not living close, are you? What a guys.
I want to see you remember all. I gotta get him.
Shows the crowd and the people.
Joe's daughter, Cindy Williams, Cindy VADINI. Mark VADINI. Tony VADINI. And Tony's wife, Chris. And Joe's niece, Cindy Moore. And Cindy's not married, by the way. I don't think it makes much difference if you're married or not in this crowd. And we always leave the best for last, of course. Thelma VADINI. At this time, I'd like to introduce Steve Janik.
That's it, huh? Lee's got away with words.
I've been given the honor of saying a few nice things about Joe VADINI tonight. I'm sure a lot of other things have already been said, and then more will be said. Saying nice things about Coach VADINI will be easy. Keeping those nice things to only a few will be quite hard. But I am only up here really as your spokesman. It's certainly not my night, it's his night. And before I say anything else about Joe VADINI, I'd like you to all join me and show him exactly how we feel about him. On to the nice things. The day before yesterday, not too long ago, a young man wearing number 22 ran out onto the football field at Mount Union College. The day before yesterday, that man was Joe VADINI. Yesterday, you and I followed our coach out onto the football field at Drexel High School. And our coach was Joe VADINI. Today, we gather here to honor Joe VADINI at the conclusion of his long, successful, and proud career as a player and as a coach. Time goes by so very quickly, as we've all found out. I look around the room and I can remember when all of us had dark hair. Now some of us would just be happy to have hair. Time goes by so quickly. But as time moves forward,
I'll get my chance.
so too do all stories. And every story must have an end. Every chapter must have a last page. And although the story of Drexel football continues, it is now our privilege, Coach, to write upon that last page and the last chapter in the Drexel story, which is dedicated to Joe VADINI. all of us here feel it's only fitting that we do so because you have written so many chapters in the stories of our lives, and we appreciate it. As a matter of fact, I heard Eddie Herrick sing only a little bit earlier this evening that when he grows up, he wants to be just like you. And Eddie, we are all looking forward to the next state title. But Eddie's he's got a pretty big job. And that becomes pretty obvious as we look at that chapter of the Brecksville football story, which you have written and which we have been a part of. Your accomplishments have been many. They have been unsurpassed in 26 years at Brecksville High School. Aside from football, for which you are so well known, you started the wrestling program, which still lives on today. Over that time, you amassed a winning record of 172 wins, 67 losses, and 9 draws, a 70% winning average. 8 conference titles, 4 unbeaten teams, more all-conference and all-state selections than we can even count up or remember, culminating in the 1983 state championship. Coach of the Year 6 times, area coach, Ohio Coach of the Year, and winner of the Dr. Lee Tressel Memorial Award. Most importantly, as a result of your efforts, hundreds of athletes have gone out of Brecksville High School. And perhaps it's this last statistic, the hundreds of athletes, that is the most important. Most significant because tonight we have over 160 of your athletes that are back with you. Athletes that have come from as far away as Connecticut, California, and Texas. And those that couldn't be here with you have sent messages from as far away as Egypt and Australia. I think that you know the esteem that we hold you in. Although you may lose track of some of us, time goes by quickly. As you move around tonight, I think that you'll find overall we've done pretty well, Coach. Probably the most important thing as you move around is I think that by and large we've all turned out to be pretty good people, aside from anything else. I think that's the one thing you wanted us to do more than anything else. You've quite a legacy to be proud of. Quite a legacy. It has been said that you can measure the value of a man by the way he treats those that can do nothing for him. By those standards, Coach, truly your value is great. And therefore I ask all of you to stand and raise your glass with me. To Coach Joe VADINI, we who can do nothing to adequately repay you for everything you have done for us, thank you for helping us to become what we are today. Good luck and God bless, Coach.
At this time, I'd like to ask Bob Moran to come to the podium, please. Bob is from the Cleveland Touchdown Club. He's on the executive committee, and he has some words to say.
Joe, on behalf of the Cleveland Touchdown Club and Bobby Brown, our president, we couldn't let this pass tonight without some honor. Bobby Brown and the Cleveland Touchdown Club would like to award to you, Joe VADINI, a trophy in lieu of your 30 years of coaching football and basketball. You've been an asset to the greater Cleveland sports team, and they want to recognize you. Congratulations.
At this time, dinner's going to be served after Joe comes up and gives his praise. Now, the reason we're asking you to do this tonight is you're not going to get up without doing anything, you know. Plus the fact that you used to give us grades before every meal when we ate at the school. And you used to make us pray before we went out to play the other team because you didn't think we would do it out praying about using all the help we could get. And you made us pray after because you wanted to thank the Lord that we came through.
Thanks for being here. I'll talk about that. But you know,
You're not supposed to know.
one last play. Really seriously, I am very, very thankful, and it's easy to give grace, but tonight I'd like all of us to honor a special person here. His name's Mark Murray. Mark made a real special effort to come. He only came from Brecksville. Where's Mark sitting? Right there, Mark Murray's a real fine football player. Bless us, O Lord, with these thy gifts, which we are about to receive from thy bounty, through Jesus Christ, your Son, our Lord. Amen. We are thankful for this great night, especially for me, and I hope that all these gentlemen will be nourished by this food and have happy, healthy lives. We thank you. Amen.
We will be open for main line very shortly. We would like to go by tables, so I will be coming around to send you up. Thank you and have a pleasant evening. Open.
How about big number 1 for Brecksville? You can move, do anything you want.
Is that you, Eddie?
It's a job, huh? It's a job that's a kid.
You can eat with us.
It is a kid.
Why not? Bullshit, you can eat with us. No. Yes, you are. Don't swear on the camera.
It's not somewhere. Talk to you later.
Get a picture of the boy.
Get some people if you want.
Let me shake your hand. Adolf, come here. Very proud of you. Come here, they're taking a picture. They say put pink on your face. You're my person. You're my person, baby. Okay?
Thank you very much.
Okay. You don't know how much you listen.
Forget whatever you're saying, he gets it off fast.
That's right.
Back in high school.
Now go away, smile.
You know, Coach, I want to apologize.
Okay, go.
However, he was only 14 years old.
I'm back again.
Hey, that's not true,
Well, thank you. I know I talk like Joe. I've tried to learn a lot of things from Joe. This just came with the job, I guess. But I'd like to just say, first of all, how happy I am to be here tonight. I looked, through the crowd before we started here tonight, and I just saw so many people that I haven't seen in so many years, and I'm just real excited about that. More excited, really, about the reason for us being here tonight. I don't think there's any reason that we could have gathered for that's better than this. And I'm telling you, there are some crazy people out there. I have to look right at this table over here, the VADINI table, because I can't look any other way. I'm not up here tonight to tell you why I'm so happy. I'm real happy, but I'm here to speak about Thelma VADINI, this little all-American dancer from Alliance, Ohio. And Thelma is, for those of you who know her, you know what I'm going to say. And those of you that don't know her, just listen up, because she's just a beautiful person, tremendous person with a great outlook on life. She's been a very supportive, obviously very supportive wife for a coach. She's been with Joe through all the good times and shared those with him, and certainly helped him through the bad times. And there haven't been a whole bunch of those, thankfully, and that's why Joe's been successful. Obviously, you can see by the table here, she and Joe together have raised 3 fine sons and a daughter, beautiful children who are now adults, and they've done just a terrific job. Thelma, what my wife claims that football coaches have what's called pigskin brain from August to November. And Thelma has had to put up with this pigskin brain for, day after day, week after week, year after year. And so when you consider the job that she's done with the family through this pigskin season, and the job that she's done, that's certainly commendable. So that in itself is reason for applauding Thelma. I really don't know where to go with this. I could tell you a bunch of stories and everything. I just, my own personal feeling for Thelma is very deep. I think she's just a super person. And I'd like you all just to sort of stand and give her some applause. We have a present that we'd like to present her, and if you give her that applause, well, we're bringing that over. I appreciate it. Microphone back there. Thelma, you want me to bring the microphone back? Joe says you're like E.F. Hutton. When you talk, everybody listens. I can bring it there. All right.
Not going to take mine.
Joey, give him a quick one. Lunch. Still wait.
What we've given Thelma, gentlemen, this is from all of us, is a Linton microwave oven.
Really a surprise. I expected my husband to get all these gifts, but not me. Oh, this is something. Thank you all. I just don't know what to say. Thanks.
Was our treasurer for this function. Class of '66. Never did anything. Terry, would you come up here? Terry's gonna give us some kind of financial bullshit.
Thanks, Lee. Closure on here. I've been asked to say a few words, and when the other guys asked me that, they emphasized the word few. So I'll keep this brief. The funny stuff follows shortly.
Hi, Joe.
Although I'd like to relate a few stories of my own, I guess I'll get moving on it. I think Lee's got a big hook somewhere under here for the guys that get a little windy. So we better keep this quick. Coach, wherever you are. Oh, there he is.
This banquet is a testimonial to the work you've done, and even more so to the positive impact that you've had on the lives of 500 or so young men who play football. There's about 150 or so of the players here who came to honor you, and that certainly says quite a bit. But what we want everyone to be aware of is that there were 26 guys who could not be here to join in the party and to see your reactions to everything, but who said that their association with you was important enough that to them that they wanted to contribute towards the gifts to you and Thelma. So I'd like to take a minute to recognize these men, and I'll go through the list. From the class of '59, we had Bob Gehring. From '60, we had Charles Rose and Phil Street. From '61, Bob Gautner. From '62, Lynn Fall. From '63, Eugene Pavin. From '65, Dave Budzinski. From '66, Keith Cornuta. '69, Jim Novosel. '70, Bob Martin. '72, Steve Zenzak. '74, Tom Angelisi. '76, we had Daniel Sadariano, Bob Thomas, and Bart Wood. '77, Nick Cornuta. '78, Greg McKasick. From '81, we had Ron Abramovich, David Bauer, and Don Canestraro. From '83, Joe Hanby and Chris Whitmire. From '84, Tom Tupa. And some friends, Paul Frank, John Smith, and Walter Wisniewski all contributed to these things. They are noted in the program. We also received personal notes from many of the guys who could not be here. And we bound these up, and I've got these here for you, and I'll give these to you. We've also, when everybody came in, we signed a register, and I'll give that to you. And finally, I know everyone's anxious to get to the stories that a lot of these guys have to tell, so I'll turn it back over to Lee.
Thanks, Larry. Some people change oil in their cars, you know, once in a while. The next guy I'm going to introduce to you changed his name. Neil Fox.
Thank you very much, Lee. I would like to thank you all for being here tonight. I'm amazed to see all of you. I think on a personal note, the most important person I'm amazed to see here tonight is myself. I can honestly say that I did not appreciate Joe VADINI until after I graduated. In fact, when I played football for him and wrestled, I didn't even like him.
All right!
Also, I can further say that I disliked him so much that I wanted to quit, but I didn't have the guts to go into the cage and tell him. I'm very thankful that he stood behind me, and he was not as fickle as I was. I didn't have much faith in Coach VADINI, but today, and I'm sure you all concur, the man has really done right by all of us. He made us some fine young men, and we've gone on to succeed, and I thank Joe for where I am today. I now have the distinction to let you know all the gentlemen who played for Joe and who've come so far to be here with us tonight. And I would like to ask the gentlemen to please stand. I'd like to read their name and where they're from, and hold your applause till it's over. First, I'd like to ask Bill Cooper from the class of '59 from Danbury, Connecticut to stand, please. Next is Tom Longworth from the class of '60 who came from Brighton, Michigan. Larry Pavin from the class of '60 from Pinckney, Michigan. Dick Doyne from the class of '61 from Gastonia, North Carolina. Keith Hughes from the class of '64 from Dallas, Texas. Tom Dickey from Annapolis, Maryland. He was the class of '64. Alec Bolito from the class of '65 from Grand Blanc, Michigan. Neil Miller from the class of '66 from Spring, Texas. John Hines from the class of 72 from Las Vegas, Nevada. Jim Mangione from the class of 72 from San Diego. Leah Dare from 73, San Carlos, California. Ron Wilkos from the class of 73, Del Mar, Delaware. Bob Pickering from the class of 79 from Dallas, Texas. Also, we're very honored tonight to have 5 brothers who have come here. 3 of them have come from out of state, and I would like to ask Bob Micah, Jim Micah, and Tom Micah to all stand. So far tonight. We really appreciate it, and I know the coach does. With that, I'd like to turn the program back to my ex-friend, Lee Watkins.
Thanks, Bill. You know, Joe never liked to lose too good. I remember one time we were sitting in Jack Studley's, first his home, Jack Studley's garage, playing pinochle. And Russell Tonkin was my partner, and he pulled a bear ace out of Joe's hand. And he said, let's try that again. And he went around again and led another ace and pulled another bear ace out of his hand, and he laughed. And Joe came across the table and grabbed him by the throat and says, "You son of a bitch, don't you laugh at other people's misfortunes." I said, "Don't kill him for crying out loud, we gotta have him for a foursome." At this time, I like to, I don't know what I think. Jim Lynn, class of 64. Never did much either, but.
I'm not supposed to do this, but I think it's only right. The class of 64, first championship for Joe, undefeated season. After 27 years at Brecksville, there's been a number of brother acts that have played for Joe, and we'd just like to honor them tonight. I'd like any brothers, same family that played for Joe, to stand up. And we'd like to especially honor the Suster Six. There was 4, Ed, Tom, Mike, and Tim, if they would please stand. I guess the record is held by the 5 Micahs. We'd like them to stand on their chairs again, please. Bob, Jim, Mark, John, and Tom. Come on the chairs, you can't see. Before I turn it back to Lee, I'd just like to say, you know, something like this is really amazing. You see guys you haven't seen for maybe 20 years. And you get together and you talk to them for a few minutes and you realize you're glad you haven't seen some of these guys. But this, give it back to Lee. Thank you. Lee doesn't want it back.
At this time, I'd like to recognize the class with the most people that came. It's the class of 61. Hank showed up and beat out 66. There's 3 guys, too. The class of 1958 Would they please stand up, Joe Mobley? The class of 1959, would they stand up, please? The class of 1960. 61. Go ahead again. 62. 63. 64. 65. 66. 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, and 84. Would the friends of Joe VADINI that came here tonight please all stand up? Thelma and the rest of the family are going to depart right now. Let's give them all a round of applause. Wait 1 minute, one minute. I would like to also recognize John Gergat of the Four Seasons that put this party on tonight. He did a hell of a job. He's a local kid, Broadview Heights, wrong side of the tracks, but those Broadview Heights kids were good. So let's all give Thelma and the family a round of applause. I don't know if everybody's aware of this, but you've all been part of a limousine service that picked up the VADINI family and is going to escort them back home tonight. Nothing but class here. Hey, you guys, let's give this guy some courtesy here, please.
Why, is he the oldest guy here?
Damn near.
Comes from the church.
Okay, one of the first things that a guy gets when he goes out for football, especially if he goes out for a VADINI team, is a playbook. I don't know what kind of playbooks we have in 83 and 84, and I didn't sit down and talk to you guys about it. But I happen to have in my possession playbook number 12 that Joe VADINI wrote. Yeah. I'm I'm gonna give this rascal to him to look at. And you gotta give it to him to keep, because I said right here, I gotta keep track of this rascal. It's my responsibility to know where this at all times. So I'm gonna watch him like a hawk when I let him look at it. But in case, those of you that are wrestlers, you may not know what all we go through in football and some of the stuff that we gotta know and what we gotta do. I'm not gonna go through this whole playbook, but there's a couple of very interesting rules that I think bear mention. One of them here on page 2, it says you got to brush your teeth every morning and evening. Okay? You got to wash your face and hands and comb your hair at least that many times, plus every time you need it. It says be sure to use only your own towel and keep it clean. Make sure your head is dry before going out in cold weather. And the one that I like best, change your clothes and shoes every day when possible. Now, there's a lot of good stuff in this book, let me tell you, okay? But I think as my special tribute to Joe VADINI tonight, I'm going to let him look at my playbook.
Tom Wadsworth.
I was wondering, why didn't we have a good season in my senior year? And thought about it for a number of years after I left school. And you've been taking a lot of the credit, Coach, for all the undefeated seasons. I finally decided it was your fault that we got terrible year that year. No, seriously, it's great to see all these people here after all these years. And one of the reasons that all of us are here for a simple matter of, I believe in pride. And just give you a little story. I moved recently out of town a couple of years ago, and I was riding a train into work one morning, and I read in the USA Today where Brexville had won the state championship. And I was sitting there in the train going into work, and I'm reading this article, Brexville State Champs. And I think I bored this guy next to me in the train with the story that I went to that school, and he didn't really give a shit. I was real excited about it, and I just wanted to tell everybody on the train that my old school was the state champ. And although I wasn't as fortunate as maybe my brothers with undefeated teams and championship teams, I think all of us learned quite a bit from the coach. And I just want to thank you for teaching us the sense of competition and responsibility and discipline that we all carry on with our jobs and lives right now. And thanks, Coach.
Somebody get Lee a drink.
Jeff Hastings, 1978. Kid could have been my kid for crying out loud. 1978. Jeff Hastings. Probably is.
Damn. I don't have a whole lot of funny things to say, but I would like to present a proclamation to Joe that has been issued by Mayor Sinagra, who has for the last 2 years been president of the Mayors and City Managers Association of Cuyahoga County. And I'll read a couple lines here from the proclamation. So, whereas in 1957, Joe commenced his remarkably successful teaching and coaching career with the Brexville Broadview Heights school system. And whereas during his 27-year teaching and coaching career, Joe instilled and developed in thousands of students the true ingredients of a successful life, hard work and dedication. And whereas at Brexville High School, Coach VADINI compiled an unbelievable career football record of 172, 67, and 9, while at the same time garnering 8 conference championships, culminating in the 1983 Division II High School State Championship. Now therefore I, Anthony C. Sinagra, President of the Cuyahoga County Mayors Association, do hereby proclaim that Saturday, April 27th,
1985 is Joseph Samuel VADINI Day in Cuyahoga County. And I urge all our citizens of this county to join me in paying tribute to this outstanding and distinguished man whose exceptional demonstration of constancy and benevolence can be an example for us all. Congratulations, Joe.
You guys think I'm doing this all by myself? I got the king of the world there. He declared himself king when we had our first meeting. Tim Klodnick. He did that when nobody else was there to protest it. And so he's kicking me in the slats here to keep me moving. Real pain in the ass. Next up, Dwayne Carikas, 1979. Looks like a big bullshitter.
First thing I'd like to say is 1980, not 1979. You can't count. The guy can't count. Maybe 1969 by the hairline here, but it's 1980. I didn't know I was going to speak tonight until I got here about 6 o'clock. So I have nothing planned. I'm just going to say a few words to Joe. We weren't state champs, we weren't conference champs. We're 5 my senior year. That's 500. It's not bad, it's not good. It's right in the middle of the road.
To show you win with talent.
I played for Joe for 3 years, and I had a heck of a time. I got a lot of memories from that. I don't regret spending 3 years of August, September, October, November, wearing 30 pounds of equipment, whatever you have to do. And I had a heck of a good time. We weren't state champs, so we had great parties afterwards. Thank you.
Did I misread him? Sandy Pizzutello, 77. It's 79 or something.
Thanks. You know, I'm representing 76 and 77. And, you know, we got a couple of guys over there. We all stood up. But we got guys like, you know, Ray Snackwoods and Mike Terry over there. And well, you know, nobody is important, but you wonder why they asked me to come up and talk, Coach. And well, you know, that might have been part of it, but they thought that, you know, we should say a few words from the bench. And you know, you can build character sitting on the bench in Brexville. I want to tell you about this. Oh, really? I mean, we all can't be first team, right, in life, okay? You get to do things like learn all the other team's offense. You know, I did. I knew how to run North Royal when it was North Royal League. So I was a little strong in the way. Then you get all those really good guys, like, you know, remember Steve Ballmer, like 235 pounds, beating the shit out of me every week? But it was good character. You know, because you learn that, like I said, that you can't always be first team, but you can always be part of a winning team. And I guess in today's day and age, when I guess, what, 1 out of 2 marriages result in divorce, and people like to quit real easy, I'd like to think at Brexville that we've learned that it's always hard work and don't quit. I stuck out football for all 5 years,
Coach Marty Johnson back there. You can remember throwing footballs in there and running into mud puddles, throwing a football right in the middle of a mud puddle and saying, "Everybody on it!" And this was like green stuff growing on top of the water. It was fun. So, to say a few words from the bench, Coach, they were really wonderful years and I wouldn't trade them in for anything.
We have an individual here tonight that
Take one for me, will you? Yeah.
that still plays football. He's not bald, I don't think. Plays for Kent State. He caught 8 passes today for 150 yards in the spring game at Kent State. Jim Kilbane.
Bear with me because I really didn't plan anything, but I was lucky enough to continue my career at Kent State. And the one thing I really noticed was, like everyone else has said today, that you really didn't appreciate Joe VADINI until you really get out in the real world. And out in the real world, college life, I guess, you know, college football I'm talking. The coaches are very businesslike, and it's nice to look back on the years with Coach VADINI and see how it really was a father-son relationship to all of us. And I'd like to thank him for that and everything he's done for me and for everyone else. Thank you.
You guys are really good. You're moving it right along here. I thought it was going to have to get tough. Here's a guy that we all have a soft spot in our heart for, a real gentleman. Yeah, there is a gentleman in this group. One. Jack Rebar.
First of all, I feel the privilege and pleasure to be here honoring Joe VADINI, a great football coach and a good friend. You know, I worked with Joe for 8 years as a line coach, one of the line coaches, and I've got some fond memories of those years. I go back with Joe 1961, and 24 years ago. In 61, the very first meeting I had with Joe, I was impressed very much. And that respect grew each year when I was Joe. And you know, I worked with Joe those 2 unbeaten football seasons back-to-back, 53, 64. And I've got some fond memories of 1963. But I'd like to recall the last game of the 1964 unbeaten season. That was a matchup between 2 unbeaten teams, Rexville and Solon. And you guys, you know that game, right? Now, all right, you guys know, right? That night in Solon, you recall, the fog rolled in. And God, that fog rolled in. In fact, the game was stopped in the 3rd quarter, and we had to finish the game the following day. In fact, I still recall the Solon coach complaining because he never saw the last touchdown. But you know, the guys that recall that game, I'm sure with a few beers, will talk about the foggy night in Solon. Well, my memory of that game was a great coaching job by Joe VADINI. In fact, that week was a classic. I'm telling you, that's a typical VADINI week. Joe started out on a Sunday with his staff meeting and his team meeting, he brought in his planned preparations. He began his team preachings. And you know, Joe would preach the gospel of football, as you guys know, day in, day out. In fact, you know, I think Joe could have been a great preacher. In fact, I swear to God, old Joe could convince the devil himself to go to confession. You know, something else. But that game plan against Solon was a masterpiece in detail. And that week, the way Joe went about his preparations and preaching, day in, day out, he brought that team to an emotional pitch that peaked at kickoff time in Solon that night, and that team just exploded and took control of that football game and never let up. And that night, Joe VADINI, his coaching job that night was a work of art. And of course it was 2 nights, because he had to come back the next day and finish the game. And I recall Joe, typical Joe, he had the films of that game, of the Friday game, right, Joe, set up. And Saturday morning he's watching the films to finish off that quarter and a half we had to play that Saturday. But I'll tell you right now, that football game, to me, was a lesson in football equal to the best football clinic I ever attended. And you know, well, we all know Joe's a good football coach. But you know, I had some frustration with Joe those years I was with him. He can be a little stubborn. It's probably Italian, you know, the Italian blood. But you know, I tried for years, time and time again, try to convince Joe to get more serious about defense. You know, he just took it too late. I said to Joe, you know, Joe, defense wins ball games. Joe would say, never improved. I say, Joe, defense, name of the game, oh, that's just hearsay. So, you know, Joe, as good as your football teams have been in defense, just think how great they could have been if you worked at it. You know? But I'm going to hook here pretty soon. But you know, I was talking with a young coach in Lake County. I live in Lake County now, young football coach. And this young guy is having a hard time. He has poor success, and I was trying to help him out. I started talking to him about Joe VADINI's style of football. I said, you know, Joe VADINI would work 7 days a week, preaching and preparing, you know. I said, Joe VADINI's, his practice plans, they were good enough to be published. And I said, you know, Joe never wore a watch. I said, he practiced until he was satisfied. You guys know that, right? It got dark back there, right? In fact, when the old clock changed in November, the old light, the car lights came on, right? Old Joe, right? Old Joe never stopped. Well, but I was telling this guy about Joe. I said about Joe and his film study. I said, Joe would take those films and countless hours. He'd work on them, throughout the game week, and keep working. And I said, he just never let up. By the way, you guys know, if you measure Joe VADINI's arms, the one is 6 inches longer than the other. That's been hauling that projector around for 20-some years. But I was telling this young coach, I says, VADINI's defense was something else, and I saw Joe put Pennock, All-American Notre Dame. Joe stopped him cold. I saw Joe against Strongsville, average 400 yards a game. Joe stopped him cold. I told this guy, I said, Joe, I said, my God, he would talk to opposing coaches on the phone, get more information. I see Joe would work at computers, IBM cards. I see he never left a stone unturned to get the full dope on a team. This young, huh? The hitchhiker? I don't know what that is. But this young coach, said to me, he said, that's stupid. He said, I can't see working that hard at football. And I told this young coach, I didn't exactly enhance my friendship. I said, you know, maybe Joe's approach to the game was why he was so successful. And I said to this young coach, I said, maybe the fact that you take that position is why you lack success. And I'll say this about Joe VADINI. I know that Joe admires Woody Hayes, former great Ohio State football coach. You know, I once heard Woody Hayes say at a clinic, he said, a self-evaluation. He said, no opposing coach ever outworked him. Well, people, I'll tell you right now, in 27 years, no opposing coach ever outworked Joe VADINI. Yeah. So right now. I said Joe VADINI a telegram I sent to him after his great victory in Columbus last year. I said, Joe, I always knew you were one of the best football coaches in Ohio, and now the entire state knows it. Thank you. Now, one more thing now, I'm going to make a presentation. Do you know, Joe, when this thing came about, I said to my two sons, I said, what do you recall of Joe VADINI? And they were 9, 10 years old when I was in Brexit. They used to come to our games and they watched Joe on the sideline. And they said they always liked to watch Joe operate the sideline. And so my one son, Lee, he said, I said to Lee, can you put together something for old Joe, your memory? My boy Lee does a little bit of modern art, symbolic art, that jazz. You got to wait an hour to figure it out. And but he put together something. I want to show you right now what he put together. I'm going to present my boy Lee's present to Joe VADINI. Now, I've got to yell it out here, but now my boy's impression of Joe VADINI on the sideline, calling plays, symbolic now, symbolic, is this. It says, to announce here, but we don't want to let the evening go by without... That's true. Remembering a very solid citizen and somebody that also touched our lives an awful lot was Ed Sustersek. Ed Sustersek was a no-nonsense kind of guy. He didn't put up with any bullshit. He was taking over gym class one day for Joe. Joe was out for some reason. And we were doing push-ups. And I remember, see, to the layman that didn't play football or was coached by Ed Sustersek, they didn't know how he reacted. So these laymen, the kids that were in there in phys ed school, never knew what the hell they were dealing with. So he says, we're doing push-ups, and this one kid has evidently a bad arm, because he's doing push-ups, and he wasn't doing them right, and Mr. Sustersek says, hey, what's the matter, kid? And he said, my arm hurts. Yeah, it hurts. It's not too bad. So we started doing sit-ups. And the kid, I'll tell you what it was Don Conover was who the kid was. And we're doing sit-ups, and the Conover ain't doing too good of sit-ups either. I mean, what you call ripping them off. And Ed Sustersek said, hey, what's that? Your arm too? And the kid says to him, sits up and says, yeah, it hurts my arm. Oh, wrong thing to say. And all these kids that were coached by Mr. Sustersek laying flat on the ground because they knew this guy just kissed his ass goodbye and didn't know it yet.
And then here, everybody's laying flat on the ground except Bob Dobus. I'll never forget. Bob Dobus decides to get curious, and he wants to sit up and take a look. And he's sitting up, and everybody else is laying down, and Mr. Such turns around and sees this phallic symbol sitting up in the air. And he asks him if he wanted his ass kicked too. And the kid went, boom, done. But with this kind of attitude adjustment that we went through when we were in school, and I always said, I'd rather have Mr. Susterset kick the shit out of me because he quit after about 2 or 3 hits. But Joe would go crazy and he'd turn his arm out and beat you with the bloody nub. He loses it. At this time, I'd like to call on Gordon Fernagle. Gordon was a wrestler and spent a lot of time with Mr. Susterset.
Stand on the podium, Gordon.
Right. Well, when I get into high school, one of the first things I remember is get Susterset coming in. He says, Fernagle, he says, why don't you plan to play football? So I went out. First thing I know, I'm on the line. Taller now than it was then.
Michael made it.
A lot of respect, Ed. So I'm on the line now, and we're in the mud, getting knocked out line. And there was a fellow named Bill Cook, and I guess he wasn't putting out quite enough at the time, which was a big mistake in front of Mr. Susterset. And he says,
all right, time out, he says, all right, all you guys come in here, he says, now, would you rather get hit with a big stick or a little stick? Everybody's quiet. You say in your head, I said, you either get a big stick or a little stick. And you hear, a little stick. That's right, I'm going to show you why. Just get down in front of you. It's nice to have to get hit with a little stick. He goes, that hurt? He says, no. Now get down here and show you how to get hit with a big stick. Boom!
9-10 feet into the mud. That was his style, of making a point. You're going to disappear somewhere in the universe. Later on, I ran into high school. He said,
he's training here to play baseball. I'm going to coach baseball.
So I'll come down and check it out. I go down there. He's got all the infielders lined up in front of that cement blockhouse that they had, where you guys dress for football. And he's hitting the line drives at him about 100 miles an hour, about 15 foot in front of their face. I didn't want any part of this. Later I saw him, I said, I don't want to play baseball.
He's back to football again.
So I'm down there again, why the second time around, I don't know, I'm still about third string, and I'm holding it, the big thing you pump up with air so that the big guys can ram in you and practice their blocking, It didn't work out too good. So I'm walking through the hall one day, and I was walking along. All of a sudden, this big arm was got me around the throat. I see this big arm, hair all over it. What is it? I know right away it's Susterset, but you can say, what you can say, Eddie, get your hands off me. Kick the shit out of you. But anyhow, who is it? And he goes, it's just a little girl. Sorry, Ed. It's cool. But I learned it was a good experience to work out with Mr. Susterset because he was a tough man. He was a big man. He made you produce. If you didn't, you know, you keep shining. You take it. One day, when I was playing football, he walked in. Everybody's taking a shower, you know. Ed comes in. He got a cowboy hat on. Everybody's in the shower, and he comes in with a cowboy hat on. He had a good time too, you know. He would, he'd lighten up. Everybody worked for him. You know. We all respected him, but that's about it. I'm sure you have a lot of fond memories of Ed, and I remember him very well, and I'm sure a lot of you guys do too. So, excellent.
You want to wait 5 more minutes, Bob, or what? 5 more minutes? 5 minutes. Al Morvero.
I had the unique position of coaching both with Joe and against Joe. And believe me when I tell you, it was always a learning situation for us. I happened to be at Holy Name, and we used to bring the team over to Brecksville to scrimmage, and we used to have some real good scrimmages, where most of the time after the scrimmage, the kids knew that if they could run the ball against Brecksville, they would run against anybody. The only people who really felt good after our scrimmages were the guys on pass defense. Coaching with Joe, 3 things stick out in my mind. His idea book, survival time, and VADINI time. Let me tell you what I mean by that. Joe worked at coaching 12 months out of the year. He was always in season with football. He'd talk to coaches in the off season. Whatever they said, their ideas, he always put down in the book. He'd play a team. He remembered what went with that team, what they did to him. He always jotted that down, and he'd then use it against them in succeeding years. And believe it or not, he won ball games with that idea book. And it always amazed me how he was able to accumulate all these facts on guys. He would even remember when a guy who was coaching against him played in college and would say, you know, this guy in a tight situation, because he was a quarterback, is going to throw the ball. Damn if it wasn't true. So he used his idea book to the utmost. The other thing I remember about Joe was what I call VADINI time. One of the things we tried to get Joe to do, coaching with him, was to plan his practices. Joe, let's get it down like a lesson plan. Let's get it down to 2 hours, 15 minutes individual time, 15 minutes group time, half hour team time, 15 minutes and so forth. It always happened that it never worked out that way. We had a kid, a manager, who was supposed to shoot a gun off at the end of each planning period, but it always seemed like the kid would look up at the coach, and the coach would say, "Get the damn gun away." The kid knew better. He'd keep that gun away. We'd get together and say, "What happened to the gun? How come the period didn't end when we planned it?" Joe said, "Things didn't go that well." You know, he says, "Where are we? We're an hour and a half late. Well, let's put our clocks back an hour and a half." That was VADINI time. We're all back in sync again. We'd go from there. The other thing I remember about Joe was he was as concerned about his coaches as he was about the players. He always saw to it that the coaches had a good time. He always had time. Someone always donated something for a couple pitches of beer after practice. But the thing that sticks out in my mind are the picnics that he had at the beginning of the year, where he would open his house to the coaches for steak roast. And it was like a Roman feast. And what you learned here was competitiveness, because inevitably the butchie balls came out. And if you ever want to see competitive spirit, you learn how to be competitive or you simply were destroyed by him and his brothers. You learned to use a micrometer to measure who actually won that damn game because it got that tight sometimes. The other thing I remember about Joe was we many times finished the season with an Italian sausage roast. And usually this took place in November. Many times the snow was flying. We're in Metropolitan Park. People going by would see a glimpse of maybe 15 guys, Joe's staff and his friends. There's a big bonfire going. There's the inevitable TV set watching the Michigan-Ohio State game. And you talk about intensity. The one year, I think Michigan beat Ohio State 13-10. And it was really cold at this time, and the only way you really, made it was by standing near a fire that they had in an open pit there. Ohio State was driving late in the game, and all of a sudden I look over at Hal's fire, Joe. You are on fire. And that's what happened. He caught his coat on fire. Somehow, no one ever got cold at those sausage roasts, even though the damn things were in a blizzard and the snow was flying. There was that guy Cravara all over the tables. You just had a good time. You didn't eat until Monday morning, and somehow you got home okay. And Joe, all I can say is coaching with you was a real experience. It was always good football. It was winning football. But more importantly, it was good friendship. Thank you very much.
Tired. Damn it, you guys worked my ass off. Woody Hayes used to talk about the team from up north. Never mentioned Michigan. Talked about the team from up north. And Joe VADINI, of course we had a team from up north, but they weren't worth shit. That was Independence. Red Wisniewski's here as representative from Independence. But right now we have a yeah, that's right. That's right, no bullshit. At any rate, we have a cheerleader here tonight from Independence, from the team from up north. And Joe, will you come on up on the stage here right now, please? We're not going to embarrass you too bad.
Look at these hunks. Which is the oldest team here? What year? 58?
We're the most rural.
You wish. Is your, no, he doesn't. Where's your team now? Which is the table that's the team now?
That's their practices.
That sounds like a personal problem.
Like it just came on.
Well, my name is Sophie. You can call me Soap. But by the time I'm finished with you, you're going to call me Red Hot. How am I doing so far, Joey? They said you've been having some trouble scoring. You think I could help you out a little bit? What do you think?
We've always been good going down the middle.
You animal. That goes for the rest of you, too. Look at this one over here. Yeah, the one looking around. Blue shirt, blue jacket, and blue tie. That's you. What year are you with? 66. Who's from 59?
How about 69?
All right, call all right. Tommy, call all right. That was bad. Who's from 59? In 59, did you beat Euclid? You didn't play Euclid? I beg your pardon? Never. They sent me with a message for you, and I've been keeping it hot, just for you. It reads, thanks so much, all your football players. This is the winning crowd, is that it? I think you're in trouble. You know, my mama told me I had to be good, and I'm always good. It's just that when I'm bad, I'm better. You think you can handle that? You know, they told me you like to handle full-figured women. Am I full-figured enough for you? I don't hear you, Joe. These are questions and answers. Unless you're trying to figure out the next play. Is that what you're doing?
He could never pass.
You don't get no respect. Were they good players?
We were the best.
Who was your best scorer?
During the game or after?
Well, the important one is after, but let's say during.
Spencer.
Well, you see, it was a team game.
I see. Well, it's time for Sophie to give you her present, but I need help with it. You gonna help me? Stand up, Joe. Are you ready? It's all yours. Now, we're going to take a vote for every push-up you didn't want to do, and for every lap you didn't want to run. Does he take it with his hands or does he take it with his teeth?
assistant coaches here tonight. You know, they always really get the brunt of the dirty work.
What we did before you got here, do you? Now, the important thing is, you may take it with your hands or you may take it with your teeth. But since there are a bunch of animals sitting out here, I wouldn't trust them as far as I could throw them. And I get to leave and you've got to stay. Now, whether you take it with your hands or whether you take it with your teeth, remember what direction you're going in. I'm not a chicken. And the other thing is, be gentle. Bulging muscle I want. How come your leg is bouncing, Joe? There's no music playing, so you can't be keeping tempo. Can I put it on you? Okay, stand up.
Put her teeth, Joe.
You wouldn't want the nice Jewish kid to do that, would you?
Yes, we would.
This is all kosher meat.
Come on, Joe, you're shaking.
Everything looks nice on you. If I didn't know better, I would have thought you were a brain surgeon. You took that off so gentle. It's time for Sophie to sing you her song. Would you like it standing up or would you like it sitting down? Good.
Good choice, Joe. Oh, yeah. I wish I wasn't laughing.
Ready? Oh, we're so glad that you're our coach. When you're around, you make our day. The things you do are so incredible. We feel bad when you are away. When you were born, mold was broken. Before then, it was only crack. When the doctors checked your bottom, you gave him a shiner. Aren't you glad they couldn't send you back? We like to give you something worthy, deciding what is really tough. Comparing quality, you are the tops. Nothing is ever good enough. We thought of jewels or clothes or limos, but those things always turn out wrong. I'm available.
Where's Wong?
Where's Wong? Come up and see me sometime. I'll give you a scotch and Sophie.
Don't forget to come back here. Where's Wong?
This time, Buzz Calder. Be brief, we Buzz, Jackman's bored over there.
Hey, Buzz, where's the Wong?
All right, we're going to wind it up here.
Wind it up.
My responsibilities are to cover a little ground, present Joe with a gift, and have Joe come up and say his piece after he's taken some of the abuse. I think in retrospect, probably everyone in this room has realized by now that during all of our times as high school athletes, college athletes, professional athletes, we've been afforded the opportunity to be coached by 2 or 3 of the best coaches in the state of Ohio. If you look back and realize that many of the men in this room had the opportunity to be coached by Jerry Becker and Ed Sustersick and Joe Vadini, we were some of the more fortunate athletes in the state of Ohio.
Right on.
I recall reading an article when Jerry Becker was still here that combined Joe Vadini's record along with Jerry Becker's record, and their won and loss record as a head football coach and a head basketball coach was #1 then, and I think it still maintains that position today in the state of Ohio. The purpose of the party tonight, after Joe had won the state championship game, there was a lot of conversation about let's have a party for Joe and let's have a party for Joe. Some of the members of the committee, some of the more astute members said, wait a while, let's let the Kiwanis Club, let's let the Lions Club, let's let everyone that tried to jump on the bandwagon at the last minute have their party. But when we have our party, it's going to be for the guys that played for him and his personal friends. Obviously, there's a lot of athletes that aren't here, and there's a lot of friends that aren't able to be here. Some of the recognition that has to be done, and it's going to be brief. Lee Watkins' wife, Donnie Girl, what I call Donnie Girl, put out this program, which I think is a tribute in itself to Joe Vadini. We had a committee that got together, and let me tell you, it was fun planning this. We were excited. A couple individuals that worked awful hard. #1, gentleman that had most of the meetings at his house. His wife served us beer and coffee and cookies. Tim Klodnick and his wife Sherry, and I think Tim should be recognized. Another individual that did an awful lot of work, never asked him, he jumped on the bandwagon, he did a lot of professional work in his own personal time in his company,
who was very committed and very interested in the program, and that was Bob Dostal. I think everyone can agree it's a great night. Great fellowship, great meal, great coach, and great athletes. During the course of the evening and picking up conversation from some of the ex-athletes, I overheard Tim Klonick say, "I don't care who the quarterback was of the state championship team, I'm the greatest quarterback in the history of wrestling."
Bullshit! Bullshit! You can only pass with 2 arms! Now you, Tim!
Winovich claims he was not only the greatest athlete, but the meanest athlete in the history of Rexville, just because he didn't wear a jock for 4 years.
There were a lot of us like that, no way!
Once Longsworth and Velocic found out Bill Hanasek wasn't coming, they both claimed to be the greatest wrestlers in the history of Rexville.
Dennis Fleming!
Dennis Millard heard that and challenged them both to a wrestle-off. But you know what it really comes down to?
Big me.
And the bottom line really comes down to is that somewhere, sometime, during each of our lives, we have all had the opportunity to be proud, to feel great because of Joe VADINI. You know how today you look at a young gal or you look at a chick and you say, "Oh boy, I wish I knew then what I know today." And then you say to yourself, maybe I can tell her what I know today so she knows what I know today. Well, it's kind of like that today with Joe, and an awful lot of the speakers have mentioned it. I think we all realize today, and we know today, what Joe was saying and his coaches were saying many years ago when we were 16, 17, or 18 years old. His direction, his guidance, his feelings, his beliefs. Now we realize that winning in sports had established a fundamental objective. Everyone talked about it. That is to succeed in life. Whatever the challenge, whatever the endeavor, or whatever level each of us want to achieve. It may have been winning, but it was more than a sport at that particular time. I believe in that, and I believe that Joe and his coaches were teaching us that. There's a room full of great athletes here and a lot of great friends. And I truly believe all of us are sitting here because we also believe in that. We all thank you, Joe, for your help, your direction that you have given us in life. I'd like Joe to come up here and receive the gift from everyone that's in attendance here, those that have made their donations, and Joe will have the microphone at last.
One thing I just found out. The guys from Independence came here, Bobby DiGeronimo and Red Wisniewski over there. They didn't come to see you. they come to hear Les Wallgren sing. Yes.
Later. Come on, Les.
Hey, tell him it was because he was throwing a line in your coat.
Where's Marty, bud?
It's a VCR recorder. And it's television set here also.
What's happened to me in my life. You know, you don't do it alone. And I'm not just saying that. I'm not trying to pull any bullshit on you and say, yeah, coach means this, go back and say what a great man I am. If I didn't have a lot of help from the coaches and the players, I wouldn't be here. Probably wouldn't have kept my job. For instance, Ed Sustersick was my hero when I was in high school. And you just have to know Ed in our neighborhood to appreciate what I'm telling you, because we were a very close-knit neighborhood. We didn't have very much. And Ed was my hero. And, you know, he played for the Browns and he went through college. Not many guys, when I went through high school, graduated from high school. They had to go to work. Fortunately, because of sports and the foresight of a homeroom teacher, I got to go to college because of football. And later, Ed wanted me to be his assistant, but it never could work out. He didn't have a teaching opening or something didn't work out. And then from his circumstances, they messed him up over there at the school where he was at, you know, and I think Ed wanted to come back into the community, and he came as my assistant. And he brought along with him, or helped me to get a man, even actually technically before Ed came, was Dan Hudak. So here I was, coaching football at Brecksville. There was only 4 of us coaching, and every guy was a coach that played, that knew a lot of, you know, really football is number 1 with them. That helped me a great deal. And right off the bat, we had good kids. And I'm not just saying that. You know, Flanagan was kidding around and saying, hey, you win with talent. It's true. I think that a good coach, if he has good talent, can win. A bad coach may have good talent and lose. But you have to have good talent. And all through the years that I was at Brecksville, I felt I had good talent. Some years we were a little bit down, or maybe we had unfortunate bad luck or something like that. So you guys being here just means so much to me. I'm fortunate that I lived long enough and had guys like, and I'm not trying to give any one more guy any importance so that I slight anybody. Elmer Girding was here tonight. You know, his wife's very ill, and he was here. Gus Del Rosa, Jack Mercer came from Akron. We worked together. Jack Rebar's just a prince of a guy. Andy Zebro, Al Movero, Eddie Herrick, and by the way, Eddie Herrick's doing one hell of a job. And I'm not just joking trying to get commercial, but football's changed. Without getting into a big dissertation, they need that reverse raffle. They need your help. I've always felt that the Brecksville team was a continuous team. I know that some guys say, which team's the best? And that's good. That's friendly competition. But I've always felt it was just like a family, you know. And the Brecksville team was just another part of it. This 83 team or this 75 team, whatever it was. Marty Johnson's here tonight. I hope I didn't miss anybody. But those guys were dedicated guys. I never pretended to say I did it alone. I hope you guys didn't ever get that message. When you're a head coach, you have to do some things that you have to do and you feel is right. And that's all I did. I tried to do what I felt was right. Personally, the wrestling team, even though we didn't, while I was their head coach, didn't win any championships, we did win the Rocky River tournament. And I believe we came in second in the conference tournament. I really felt proud of that because you don't know how hard it was to start a wrestling team. And I'm not meaning to be, you know, all just sad. No, I'll just let you know a little bit, you know. I go to Brecksville and figured, hey, we're going to start wrestling, and they gave me remember that big stage? We had to put together about 6 5 by 9 mats and tie them with ropes. And we couldn't practice when the play was practicing because we'd be in trouble. Couldn't practice on teacher's meeting day. Well, finally, luckily they made a mistake in ordering a mat. They bought a mat that was one piece, a big 24 by 24 mat. It was an old type of mat. And because it was so hard to get around the doors, they had to go buy another mat, which was the new Insulite. So we were one of the few teams right off the bat that had a new Insulite mat. Well, to give you an example of the type of thing we had to practice down in our practice field. And on the Friday, whenever we wrestled, I had to get kids out of 9th period study hall to go get that mat. They'd use my car and get a trailer, and we'd carry the mat up. I'd get hell from our principal for taking the kids out of study hall to go get the mat. And some of these guys would get hell. You know, they say, what'd you cut class for? Well, they were with Mr. VADINI, then I'd get it. Then one time, this is kind of funny, when I found out that the custodians really ran the school, a couple guys had to make weight, you know, and so I wasn't one to really go into losing weight too much for these guys. Some guys wanted to, and I just said to them, once you decide what weight you're gonna make it, see? Well, a couple guys had to make weight, so I told them, I was a phys ed teacher at the time, I said, go down and do a few push-ups and sit-ups in front of the showers, you know. I didn't know that the showers were connected with the water they washed the dishes with. So they were losing all this water. And they couldn't wash, they had to wait then and work extra to wait for the water to heat up. Well, when the old man found out about that, you gotta believe I heard some things. And we just, you know, it was a struggle getting started, but those kids really got tough. And we wrestled the toughest teams in the area. And my last year we were 6-2-1, and we had 9 guys coming back, and they were 18-1 the next 2 years. I couldn't coach anymore because I just became a basket case. Some of these guys, you know, coaching football and then wrestling, I just wrestled too many matches with them, and that's the way it was. But don't go thinking that I think less because I happen to be in football. That wrestling team meant a lot to me. And the same way with some of you guys that are here. I realize some people couldn't make it. I appreciate the men that have come here. Not every guy is first team. I'm not just talking now. You know, some guys are here like Sandy came up and he said he was on the bench. You cannot believe this, and I hope I can keep my poise, but I felt a lot for guys that couldn't play. I felt a lot for guys who didn't get into the games. You might not realize that, but that's the way it is. But you have to make decisions based on what's happening at the time. You see, now right now I might have to get mad again and talk to a couple guys. Because I remember in coaches' meetings, sometimes some of these guys wanted to talk, and I would try to tell them that I was raised the old way, that when I talked you to listen, and if you didn't listen, I'd have to kick your ass. In fact, I got Myra with me tonight, and we can handle he's widowed. No. But anyhow, I want to thank all you people, not all you people, my team. You know, and I mean this sincerely. This is a team effort for me, and it's like a family. And if we wouldn't have good success, like say right early, 58, 59, or 60, I wouldn't have been around for 83. You know what I'm talking about? And if we wouldn't have been good in 63 and 64, when unbeaten, and give us some confidence in our first championships, at least under my direction. See, some guys might say, which team was best? I felt it's personal for every team. Every team was the same team going on. And so, don't go thinking that if you didn't play a lot or something, I don't appreciate it. Now, sometimes some guys may not believe that, but that's the way I feel. And one other thing I found out, don't let me ever get in the position of saying this guy was better than that guy. Because all I ever asked was you do your best. You know you had to put up a lot of bullshit, you know. Rebar's son's pretty close there. But you know, the thing is that, and I really mean this, I don't know, maybe you didn't feel this, I always felt one thing the wrestling team always had, they never quit. And they would hit hard. Now, you may not believe this, but what gets me going a lot of times, it makes me feel good, is when coaches tell me, boy, your team's hit hard. I know, then we lost the game. Says, oh, you lose? You like to lose? Hell no, I don't like to lose. But I'll tell you what, sometimes that respect of people knowing they're in a tough ball game, and that you really let them know what the hell a football game's about, just like as if you're on the street corner and someone's going to give you some lip. I came from a neighborhood that you didn't let them do that. And so, right, there's a good friend of mine here, Mickey Bowden. Just don't mess with him. I'm just saying, I don't want to go line up some things for him. I mean, that's the way we came from. And I think the Brixville teams let the other teams know, don't mess with us. And you guys did it all the time. And I've always believed this. This is one thing I've always believed. You may not believe this. The game is not bigger than the people. My appreciation wasn't the, listen, I had the winner to get ready, you know, how the people are. They want winners. But the point is that I've always felt that my association with you guys was bigger than the game. And if I didn't seem to demonstrate that, I was wrong, because that's what it is. And while you have to win, it's nice to achieve, and I don't, you know, I want to win games. But the point is, sometimes you don't win. But what was your effort like? And without singling guys, I may say a couple of stories, but without singling guys, I love all of you. I mean that sincerely, because if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here. And Rebar tells you about stuff. You know, football is a big thing with me. But anything that you work to do, that you're going to try for, we tried. And I always told my coaches this, at least some of the guys, maybe all of them didn't hear this. I said, I never want a kid saying to me, Coach, you didn't do your end of this bargain. I don't mean necessarily what I call a pass or a run. I'm talking about whether I did my homework and took the time to watch the film. That's my wife. My wife's a beautiful woman for a football wife. Some wives destroy their coaches, the guys, their husbands that are coaching. My wife never did. And so it's a whole team effort. You know, I got to say this, though, getting off the seriousness a little bit. The greatest actor in the world is Lee Watkins. I learned something real early. You know, one time I heard about Notre Dame, a guy faking an injury, Notre Dame getting an extra play and winning the game. So there was a game when I told the guy, I said, one of you pretend to get hurt. Boy, I didn't have to say too damn much to Watkins. I thought he pretended so much. I got letters from people, you know, 3 guys fell down and got hurt. Well, anyhow, about later in the season, we were playing Royalton. I don't know why he did this, but I thought he got hurt. He was really jumping around. You know, I go out there, and he's laying on the ground, he gives me a big wink. So, what the hell is this, you know? So, I helped him off the field. He's not okay. So we put him on the bench, and maybe because we weren't paying too much attention, he starts thrashing his arms, and I'm going back and say, is he all right? He said, yeah, he's just screwing around. So I didn't pay any attention to him. Don't you know, Mr. Wisniewski gave me a few letters. You have to be more concerned about your athletes. That poor boy was what? I got Watkins in gym class. I'd like to have his throat. We've had some great experiences. I won't go into all. I'm going to summarize this. I wish you guys understand, I want to say this for every individual. I really appreciate you being here, and I accept whatever has happened to me as a team effort, and I feel very fortunate that it did happen to me. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
Wes, let's give 3 cheers. Hip, hip. Hooray! Hip, hip. Hooray! Hip, hip. Hooray!
We've heard a lot of good speakers. Now I want to hear the singers. We're going to sing a song for your coach, for he's a jolly good fellow. Join in. Let's hear it. For he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow, that nobody can deny.
All right, we have this place at 12 o'clock. And if anybody wants to continue this party, I stopped by at Oliver's and told them that they might have a bunch of people coming over there to get ready for us.
Where are the girls at? Where's Wong at?
Sucker stick.
He's over there in the corner somewhere.
There's only one guy that's
Only one bar, 100 feet long. Only one bartender, 100 barmaids. The barmaids wear dresses, cellophane ones. They don't serve the burn bottles. They serve it in buckets. No hole in the top. The hole's in the bottom. No movies tonight. We're going to have a floor show. Only one fan dancer, but she doesn't